welcome to Module 8 of our course, Profit, Growth, Wealth Solutions for Small Business, brought to you by smallbusinessplantoprofit.com. Now in this module we're going to continue with this theme of creating personal wealth out of your business, and in Module 7 we made the point there that you need to understand what your retirement needs are, and you now need to put a strategic investment plan in place to generate enough capital to have a comfortable retirement. We also made the point that we think it's unsafe to rely on the sale of your business to fund your retirement. We went through a number of scenarios there where perhaps your business may well be worthless when it does come time to sell, just because the world has overtaken the business and no one actually wants to buy it. Hopefully that doesn't happen, and as I said previously, the ability to sell your business for a substantial sum will be the cream on top of your retirement cake, your retirement nest egg, but we'd like you to be able to focus throughout your career on developing enough independent wealth away from the business to be able to retire comfortably no matter what happens to your business. So this module is all about just looking at those retirement needs and what might actually be required. So a fairly busy chart here, but just to describe what's going on here, we're trying to look here at the amount of capital that you will need to fund a retirement income stream that's appropriate to you. So down the left hand side we have some figures there for the amount of capital that will be required. Across the top on the right, across the top is the number of years that you anticipate having to fund a retirement income for. So how many years you're going to be retired for. Can I say that these are fairly basic calculations. There's no allowance for inflation increases, and the earnings rate that I've chosen for this example is 5%. Now many of you will think that you can invest into property or stocks and shares and generate a better income return than 5%, and also generate some capital growth perhaps in those investments, and I don't doubt that for a minute. But for the sake of this example, I've chosen an earning rate of 5%, and I'm assuming that's an earning rate of 5% over and above the effect of inflation over the time. So what we're looking at here in the numbers in the middle of those charts is the annual income that we might be trying to fund. So let's have a look at this. Let's just say take an example where, let's say I want to retire when I'm 60 years of age, and in Australia the average life expectancy of a male is to about age 85. So if I retire at age 60, then I need to fund a retirement for 25 years. So across the top of that chart, let's focus on the column there that has 25 years to fund for me to fund in retirement, let's say. Now let's say when I retire I've looked at all my income needs, my expenses, my need to pay off some mortgages, my need to replace cars, go on a holiday, and generally have quite a good standard of living while I'm in retirement. And the figure perhaps I might have chosen is, let's say, $100,000 a year that I want as a retirement income stream. So the way this chart then works is, in that column that shows me I've got to fund my retirement for 25 years, I work down that column, so it's the second last column, work down that column and come to roughly about $100,000, showing in that column there $101,000. If you then move your eyes across to the left, what we're showing is $1.5 million. So if I want to fund a retirement for 25 years, earning $100,000 a year in retirement income, then I need to generate a nest egg of $1.5 million. Can I say also these charts are on the basis that over that 25 years of retirement I will eat into my capital and my income, so at the end of that 25-year period I'll have nothing left. I will have actually spent my capital as well. But if I generated a retirement nest egg of $1.5 million and was retired for 25 years, I could draw out roughly $100,000 a year and live quite comfortably. If I live longer than that, well, I'm going to have to find another source of revenue somewhere, and hopefully that might come from the sale of my business. So the more income you require in retirement, clearly the more capital you're going to require. The longer you are going, the more years you're going to have to fund that retirement income for, clearly the more capital you are going to need. So instead of retiring at age 60, I could certainly, let's say, work through to age 70. And if I still perhaps die at 85, then I only need to fund a retirement income stream for 15 years. So if you come across that chart into the middle there, I need to fund 15 years worth of retirement. I need about $100,000 a year to live in. So on the capital side of things, I need roughly, what's that, about $1.2 million. So less years in retirement, the same amount of income, but I need less capital. So perhaps as you view this chart here, have a think about what age do you want to retire on, and how many years do you want to try and fund that retirement for. We don't like thinking of our date of death, but we will all die at some stage, so we need to have some idea as to perhaps how long we might last. And if you work through that chart there and assessing the amount of income that you might need, it gives you a little bit of a feel for the amount of capital that you need to generate. So an example that I've used, and the one that I'll stay consistently on through here, I'm retiring at age 60. I'm going to be retired for 25 years. I want about $100,000 a year to live on, and I'm going to generate an income return of about 5%, or an investment return of 5% per annum, and I'm quite happy to use up all of my capital. On that basis, I need to generate $1.5 million by the time I retire. Now in this second chart, we're now saying, well, now that we understand how much capital we need to put away by the time we retire, how much money do we need to invest each year to generate that level of capital? So again, I've assumed an earnings rate of 5% just for consistency, and again I accept that those earnings rates could be higher or lower, but for the sake of the argument I've chosen a 5% earnings rate. In the previous table I calculated that I needed $1.5 million worth of capital. So on the left-hand column we come down to that $1.5 million worth of capital is what I need to have put away by the time I retire. Now across the top, when it comes to the years, we're now talking about the number of years I have until I retire. So let's say that I'm 45 years of age and I'm happy to retire at age 60. So now I have 15 years in which to save for my retirement. So if I need $1.5 million and I move across to the right on that row, over 15 years I need to put away $66,000 every year, invested at 5%, for 15 years to generate that income, retirement nest egg of $1.5 million. Now that is a substantial amount of money that I need to put away each year. How am I going to do that? Well, I could invest. I need to find an investment perhaps that earns more than 5%, but remember the rules of risk and return. The higher rate of return you're likely to get from an investment, the higher the rate of risk, so there's also a greater chance of loss as well. Perhaps I should have learnt this lesson and understood these numbers a lot earlier, so not leave it until I'm only 15 years from retirement. If I had have learnt this lesson, let's say when I was 30 years of age, so I'm 30 and I'm going to retire when I'm 60, so I've got 30 years to try and accumulate $1.5 million. If you follow that on the chart, I only need to find $21,000 a year on average to invest to generate that amount of income. So if I had have started early, if I had have heeded the messages that my parents fed to me over all of those years, start early, start saving for your retirement early, and it'll all be very, very easy for you. But instead, at 45 years of age and wanting to retire at 60, I have 15 years in which to accumulate a nest egg, and if I'm starting from a zero base at the moment, it means I need to try and find $66,000 a year invested at 5% to generate $1.5 million, which in turn will fund a retirement income stream of $100,000 a year for 25 years. Now there's lots of variations here, and you will find your own places within these particular tables here. The $100,000 a year, if I'm unable to invest $66,000 a year from now, I need to probably decrease my expectation of my standard of living. So instead of $100,000 a year, I may well have to cut my cloth to live on $60,000 a year. So again, there's no right and wrong in any of this. You just need to try and balance up and understand what sort of capital you require to fund your retirement and how much savings you need to make on an annual basis between now and your retirement date to get that money put away. Yes, I agree, if we can sell the business for a large capital sum, this problem goes away. We don't need to put money away if we can guarantee that we're going to sell the business for our $1.5 million or $2 million and live very, very comfortably and fund it that way. If you can sell your business for that amount of money, yes, you will still have your retirement nest egg. But the messages that I left you in Module 7 are that I don't believe you can guarantee that you will be able to sell your business, and if you can sell your business, that you'll be able to get what you think it is worth when you do come to sell. So this module is all about just understanding what your retirement needs may be and what it would take to build up that capital base for retirement. So just to recap there with the numbers that I've been using. If I'm 45 years of age and I plan to retire at age 60, so I have 15 years in which to put away some money. If I'm going to be retired for 25 years, live to the age of 85, and I want to live on $100,000 gross income per year, then I need to find $1.5 million by the time I retire, and to do that I need to invest $66,000 a year at 5%. Now, just to throw one complication to this, same example, but let's just say that I really intended to leave an estate of about $500,000 for my family, for my children, or for my wife, whose average life expectancy is probably another 5 years greater than mine. In this case, instead of having to accumulate $1.5 million, I now need to accumulate $1.65 million. Instead of having to invest $66,000 a year, I now need to find $73,000 per year. So there's lots of complications you can build into these calculations, but the message I want to leave with you is understand what your retirement income needs are likely to be, understand what your capital needs are to fund that retirement, understand the amount of time you've got to build up that nest egg, and put a plan in place to make sure that you are getting to that stage. So that's the end of Module 8. We'll now move on to Module 9, where we'll start to bring all of this course together and look at developing your own profit, growth and wealth plan.